It has been 1 week since the tragic mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, but the emotions are still raw as families begin to lay their loved ones to rest this week. These shootings are far too common and they expose a lot of emotions and concerns for those who fear that something like this may happen to them or their loved ones. But what about the survivors of incidents like this? What about those who have gone through a mass shooting? Katya Stepovic sat down with one Idahoan, Tara Marie, who survived the Las Vegas shooting in 2017. 59 people were killed that day, and she witnessed it. Now, every time she hears of yet another shooting, she says it's triggering, to say the least. Today, she tells Katya, enough is enough.
I don't think our bodies are prepared or wired to deal with that level of trauma. So even more than the actual event itself is the aftermath, the ripple effects.
And what are some of those after effects that you still deal with 5 years later?
I feel like I've healed the part of me that goes back to the shooting that I personally experienced, but I can't erase the memory of it. I can't erase the sounds and the images and the emotion of it. But what really gets to me each time another mass shooting happens is because I feel that, I felt it, I remember it, I have heard it, I hear it and feel it. I mean, you can numb it and you can not watch the news, you can take medication and counseling, and I've done all that. But every single time it happens, I bury my head back in the sand, which I'm very ashamed of. And I declare a mental health day, and I take really good care of myself that day and just let my emotions process, and then I put my head back in the sand. But it's gotten there so frequent now, I don't even have time to put my head back in the sand before another one rips through. And so I reached a breaking point.
What do you mean by that?
So last Friday morning, I took my son to school, which now feels like I'm dropping him off at a battleground. But that morning when my alarm went off and I woke up, I was in the middle of a mass shooting in my dream. My whole world just started going dark. And so I actually ended up finding my way to my medicine cabinet, and I almost ended my life. Literally the only reason I'm still sitting here today is because right before I did it, I remembered I have 5 children. 5. I spent the weekend, Memorial Weekend, in on a 72-hour psych hold suicide watch.
What's something that you want people to know about what you went through and what you have to live with?
I just want the right to be alive. I just want the right for my children to be alive. Because for me, if we don't have the fundamental right to be alive and be safe, then none of the other rights matter. I want my children to be able to grow up. I want this earth to be a place where they can live and love and find joy.
What do you want to see happen? What do you think is the fix to this issue?
We have to sit down together. We have to all say, we have a right, we all do, we have a right to be alive. And the more shootings happen, the more survivors we have. How many survivors is it going to take to make our voice loud enough? I just don't know how many it's going to take. I don't know what the answers are, but doing nothing is not one of them.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah, and we do have the Idaho Crisis Hotline. It should be coming up on the bottom of your screen here, that number. If anyone you know is considering or has thoughts of suicide, please call that number. There are so many resources out there. And she's been dealing with this for 5 years, and she has utilized those resources, but everyone grieves so differently. She has friends who went through that shooting in Las Vegas with her, and she's still in contact with them, but we oftentimes don't think about the survivors and what they have to deal with too, and it's very, very tough.
As we watched your interview play out, we saw it was very, it wasn't edited for time. We saw that you really have that full conversation. As you're sitting there, as I watched it, you really get this feeling that you forget how personally touched some people are by events that happen thousands of miles away. And she really, puts that perspective into point that, people are hurting. And people that are not even in Texas or near Texas, people who have other experiences. It's a very, it's a hard subject for everyone to talk about.
And it just seems like for some reason, this happens to be the tipping point. Everyone is now saying enough is enough. We demand change and we don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the conversation continues. Katya, thank you for your report. Thank you so much. And we've seen a lot of questions and comments, of course, about what's been going on. And one of the comments we've seen in ZipWhip is, what about Idaho leaders? What are Idaho leaders really talking about? And one thing we've really been keeping an eye on, as we've mentioned, really, since the shooting in Texas a week ago, is only one Idaho representative has shared a statement on the incident so far. And Congressman Mike Simpson says in a statement, quote, "This is not an acceptable status quo, and we must do better for our children. Elected leaders must set an example by coming together to find meaningful solutions that address the clear mental health crisis in this country." And we've seen comments and questions from you through our text line here asking who has said things, who hasn't said things. Again, that's the only statement we have. We still have not heard from Senator Mike Crapo, Representative Russ Fulcher, or Senator Jim Risch on this subject. Well, still to come on the 208. Thanks for joining us here on your Tuesday after Memorial Day. Some treasures can be lost to time, but the Antique Roadshow is a special place where some are brought back into the spotlight. We went to the filming of the show while they were here in Boise today. We met some of you out there. We saw a lot of interesting items. Ahead, we're getting a behind-the-scenes look at Antique Roadshow. And speaking of Spotlight, if you want to share your thoughts about our show today or maybe anything else going on out there, don't be afraid to text us anytime, 208-321-5614. The 208 continues after this break. All right, let's have some fun here on the 208. Are you ready? Now, some of you may know this. The famous PBS program, Antique Roadshow, it's in Boise today, and they're looking for exciting and historic items to profile on their show. Now, Antique Roadshow, which airs locally here on Idaho Public Television, it's been on the air since 1997, and it continues to be as popular as ever. They even have a TikTok account now. How about that? Now, if you haven't seen the show, here's how it works. People bring their valued antiques from home or from their family areas, and they try to get them appraised from subject experts, paintings, watches, sports memorabilia, all the experts. And the experts, they try to give an idea of what something is worth. But they also have an incredible knowledge in their field, meaning that families come away from events like today with new and exciting details about items that have been passed down for generations. So they have the same mission here today in Boise. And photographer Kevin Esslinger and myself, we watched the action and we learned a lot of history too down at the Boise event. We want you to take a look behind the scenes here of the popular Antique Roadshow.
I mean, there's so much stuff. It's a non-stop parade of people all day long. It's great.
There's excitement with every step as the crowd at the Idaho Botanical Garden moves closer to finding out some history, specifically history about treasured items.
We found this wonderful place to do a show, and here we are. They let us in, said okay, and we're delighted to be here.
Marcia Bemko is the legendary executive producer of Antiques Roadshow, an all-time PBS classic show. Since 1997, Bemko and her team have traveled the country, meeting interesting people with interesting items. A team of experts appraise items, everything from paintings to pocket watches, and they share the history behind them. Bemko's job? Selecting the best of the best to profile on the show.
My favorite appraisals, I'm a jaded producer. It's not about the money for me. My favorite appraisals are with a great story. They can give you goosebumps. True goosebumps, yeah.
So we got two grandfather watches.
Yeah. Antique Roadshow favorite Peter Plain specializes in watches.
This was made about the end of 1899, right at the turn of the century.
Sure, families want to know the value of items handed down for generations, but the history about an item is just as valuable to many. The hands on this pocket watch still click. Other details, though, are lost to history.
Hey, you know what? He could have got it in a card game for all we know, you know?
Some items the experts have seen before. Others
supposedly this is Alexander Hamilton's cane.
Have the potential to create stories that a family will never forget.
We sit around, drink wine, and watch the Roadshow all the time. It's great, you know?
David carries this cane, hoping the stories he's been told about it are all true.
It could be Alexander Hamilton's, and you know, it's, if you look on the top, I mean, it's very clear, AH. Looks like there was some old jewel, you know, embedded in here, and I have no idea. I'm just here for the ride.
Expert appraiser Nico Lowry is a fan favorite. He loves the interaction at these events, and he finds that people love to hear about their items, even if they do turn out to be worthless.
But it's wonderful to talk to people about what they have, to talk to them about what they love, to explain it to them, and have them, I mean, what she had was not valuable, and she didn't mind. She was so excited to hear about it. I think she was excited to be here, and it's that kind of energy that we really like.
We all care desperately about what we've brought today. Anybody who's bought, we have 2 items. All of our guests, each ticket holder gets to bring 2 items. Often they're inherited things, often they're family objects. And whatever it's worth, this is what we all have in common here today. Everybody really wants to learn about what they own. They care deeply about it.
There's kind of cool history. Showed me how to set it and stuff, which is kind of unique to the railroad watches, I guess.
Sean and Lisa learned about family heirlooms that now have more detailed backstories.
Actually, the rest of our family got tickets too, so they'll be here this afternoon. So we do have more stuff coming. So.
Okay, so at dinner tonight, it'll be a fun family discussion.
Yeah. Who won the best?
Walking through the Antique Roadshow, you'll hear and see a collection of stories and tales you cannot find anywhere else, and it's that feeling that keeps everyone coming back. Especially the appraisers, because yes, they too sit around after the show, marveling about the items and the stories.
What did you see? What did you pitch? What was turned down? What did you go on air with? It's great.
I'm looking for great stories. I really am. For us, we're looking for great stories and some good stuff with it.
And we got to watch some of the appraisals today. Posters, toys, watches, vintage weapons, you name it. They probably had something of it there. And the folks at the Antique Roadshow, they actually invited us to bring an item too, to get it valued and to really get an idea of how the entire process works. And I'll be honest, we kind of rushed out the door this morning, so we didn't have a great dig to go through and get an antique, but we did have something handy in the newsroom that we brought with us, and I'm going to show you here. Here we go. This is Andrew Bartline. He's holding his prized seal, and I don't really know what it's made of, but it looks antique-ish, and Andrew loves it. It sits on his desk every day. He's very proud of it. We call it the seal of approval, so when you do something good, you look at it, and he gives you an approving look. So anyways, we took it to the Antique Roadshow, and the point of this next video we want to show you here, the people working these events, they are amazing, and they love to do what they do. And here's the deal. The people you watch on TV, they're legit. Watch this appraisal of the seal.
I've seen what some of the other folks have, so this could be a quick trip. But we have the expert. You hand off the item, and any idea what we're looking at? Because we don't.
It's a seal.
It is a seal. We call them the seal of approval.
Yes, it's a seal. So when I look at a piece like this, I'm always looking at style and design. I'm looking at how it's made, and then I'm looking for marks, if there are any. If there's a mark, that might tell me something. If there's no mark, that'll tell me something too. First of all, when I look at this, I can see that it's hand painted, so that the eyes and the details are all hand painted. Then I look at the bottom, and there is no mark. And it's hollow, so it was made in a mold. I can tell that, and this type of technique was really popular kind of around the 1960s, 1970s.
Really?
Most certainly American-made, but made by a minor, inexpensive manufacturer.
Mass-produced?
Mass-produced. Even though it's hand-painted, it's entirely mass-produced. Huh. There were actually these places you could go and you could make your own ceramics. So they would have blanks that you would make in a mold, and then you take it out, and then you would paint it, and then it had to be refired in a kiln, and then you go pick it up. And it was kind of like a little class thing or something. Yeah. And it looks a lot like that. So where it was commercially made and sold, I don't know, or whether someone made it and hand painted it at the place where you went, and you paid, a little bit of money to do that. I don't know either way. Either way, it doesn't have much value. It's just great decoration. It's cute, but no much money. $5, $10.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, Andrew, the amount of knowledge this man has on an item I just handed to him live. You're a big fan of the Antique Roadshow and of your seal. What are your thoughts on this?
I am. Me and my father watched the Antique Roadshow growing up all the time. I absolutely adored it. I'm a little heartbroken. I love the seal. $10. I think he might be lowballing us. I think we might be able to get 15 out of it. I know it was free to me, so I adore my seal.
Take the 10. All right, Rick says to take the 10.
Whatever, Rick, whatever.
If you'd like to buy Andrew's seal, text in. No, but as a fan of the Antique Roadshow, it's just amazing how professional and how amazing the knowledge base is of these appraisers. Because again, the people in front of us, they had some real antique pottery that was very valuable and had an amazing backstory. And then we hand them the seal. But whether it's valuable or not, they just have this depth of knowledge across pottery, painting, sculptures, weapons, toys. It's just incredible to watch them do this in real time.
I thought it was hilarious that he could look at it and date it to like the 60s or 70s. I mean, this thing could have been made 3 months ago. Like, I have no idea. So.
Well, we walked in and we didn't know if we were going to embarrass ourselves because it's nice. It does look old, but as you mentioned, it could be a lot.
Very impressive.
But he did say it was cute, so that's good.
That's a win for me. I'll take it.
That's a win. And Rick says you got $10. Yep. Okay, so Rick's going to pay 10 for it.
Rick's buying.
If you're wondering, of course, they were taping today. It's not going to air on Idaho Public Television until early next year, so the seal didn't make the program. But some of the stuff you saw on our story today, it might make the show. So early next year, 2023, that's when it's going to start airing. They got to go film and do some other stuff through the rest of the year. But we will circle back to this because the Antique Roadshow was last here in 2013 in Boise, and it was a big hit when they aired the episode. So here, I guess 10 years later, we will have another episode from Boise. But there you go, the seal of approval. You can now call Tim and tell him how much it's worth. We also just mentioned Tim on the 208, so I'm very thrilled. But
hi, Dad.
Anyways, thanks for joining us here on the 208 today. We're going to come back with some more news, but just a fun little way to jump on our Tuesday afternoon. We'll be right back. While we're coming off a stretch of below average temperatures and a soggy weekend, we need the moisture. Around this time last year, the Pacific Northwest was baking under a record-breaking heat wave, a very dry spring. In May of 2021, water users, I should say, of the Bigwood River Canal Company and Magic Reservoir were really feeling the effects of the drought. And by June 22nd, the two companies have had no water for their crops in 2 weeks, which effectively ended the growing season, making it the shortest season in over 7 decades. Now, Brian Holmes talked to some of these farmers last year for the 208. We want to highlight what they went through a year ago before talking about what they're going to go through now.
Mid-June in the northern Magic Valley. And the serenade of sprinklers just outside of Shoshone is the routine racket out here, spraying water siphoned from swollen, slow-moving irrigation canals. But not too far away from this field.
Yeah, pretty ugly, isn't it?
Robin Lathames walks onto his and assesses this year's barley crop.
So if you look at the heads,
each of these husks, Robin explains, should have a seed in them.
And they're totally blank. There's nothing in them, every one of them, just empty.
And normally they would have most of the summer to mature. And there's no chance for that to grow in there now?
No, it needs water for it to grow. We don't have any water, so it's done.
Which is why Robin will reluctantly green chop this field this week instead of this August for feed for his dairy. Last year he sold it all, 184 bushels an acre, to Anheuser-Busch to make beer.
So it goes from a crop that produces $125,000 worth of income to us to a crop that basically is, I guess if you want to call it lettuce, it's a filler. It's worth about $25,000.
All because this field, like all the others Robin planted this past spring, hasn't seen water since June 10th, the day the Bigwood Canal Company cut off the water to this area.
Sad. It's really sad. It's devastating is what it really is. So.
The Lathames Dairy in Richfield was started by Robin's dad in 1960. These days, there are about 500 head of Holstein cattle who, to eat, all rely on what Robin grows on his other 1,500 acres. That would normally come by way of bales of alfalfa, which is being cut for the first time this year, later than usual. Sacrificing quality for quantity, this first cut will likely be the last of the season.
The worst part about it is what it does to you financially. But last year alone, we sold over $250,000 worth of hay. This year, I'm looking at buying $250,000 worth of hay, so $500,000 swing right there. I mean, we stand to lose over $1 million this year. And it's kind of like going to work knowing that you're going to lose $1 million. I mean, how would you feel about going to work?
Robin, who's been on the Bigwood Canal Company board for 18 years, says managers first told them they would have 60 to 80 days of water, enough to get them through maybe mid-July.
Well, next meeting I go to, it was 55 to 70 days of water. Next meeting I go to, there's saying 45 to 50 days of water. Well, now you know the rest of the story. It's 28 days of water.
The Bigwood Canal Company supplies 38,000 acres. For sure, a relatively small stretch of Magic Valley farmland. But it's a big deal for you guys.
It's huge. It's life or death. Exactly.
Why is this a big deal?
What's the big deal? Well, somebody's lifeblood. It's critical to everybody. It's critical to the community. So it's critical to me and my family. We've been here 61 years, so I hope the heck the next year's better. That's all I can hope for.
So it is next year now, when with all the recent moisture, we wanted to see how things are shaping up for farmers that rely on water from the Bigwood Canal Company. We talked to the managers there to see if there would be any curtailments this year. Here's what they told us.
I think we're in a little better position. Last year ended up being closer to 30 days of delivery out of Magic Reservoir. This year, we could possibly make 60 days of delivery, but I think it's going to be closer to 40 to 45. So the predictions were off last year by a couple weeks. So I think we're still not going to have a great season, but it's going to be better than what we thought it was going to be back in, say, March. We thought it was going to be really bad in March and April, but we had, the recent rains, the recent precip has really helped.
And Kevin Lakey, who you just heard from, says that they are not concerned about a fast melt-off of the recent snow because the Magic Reservoir is still so low, so they have plenty of room there. He says they are nowhere close, though, to releasing water out of the Magic Reservoir system.